What are we going to talk about in this episode? Shocking, groundbreaking information spiral 10 central banks. That's what you heard. Precisely, straight from the lips of Brad Garlinghouse. 10 people, 10 central banks. How much of that stable coin will there be? Is going to make a decisive move. Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. We'll talk about MicroStrategies and how nearly all of the central banks surveyed are currently considering opening their own virtual money. Recall that when we first started this in 2017, the study was done, and the percentage increased to about 10%/15 every year. Since then, the numbers have increased, and we are almost at 100%, which indicates that every central bank in the world is investigating CBDCs because they will require a bridge asset. Additionally, we are from Brian Brooks, and Bitcoin could test 70,000 again this week. I have you covered. Take a sip, unwind, and grab yourself a cool beverage. Let's dive into a Bitcoin. Ethereum is presently trading at $35.32, down 1.26% over the last 24 hours to 66,188. It's not working. 9% higher than the previous day. As USDC has fallen below 99, USDT is expected to arrive at $1. What does that mean? Money has returned to the markets from stablecoins. XRP is going to hit 50 cents, people. It has decreased during the last 24 hours, but check the hourly. In reality, it's up. Of all the cryptocurrencies, 1% would want to see it. Market cap of $2 trillion, $427 billion, at this point, people, in case you haven't yet gotten onto Tumblr. The moment is right to do it, or else the whiskey glasses and sets will soon be available. Don't just disregard the images. I received them all by direct mail. In my opinion, I will choose the winners. We got the 40, but I will be making sure that each of them is tidy. Stanley should continue as we completed the exercise and received a 30. We even have Bitcoin cups here, in a variety of colors. Salana, the Chainlink cop, finds it to be a very lovely cup. You can get free worldwide shipping on any of these. XRP caps can be shipped worldwide for free. How are you spending your time? Why do you wait? For the time being, this is what we require. Even though Mr. Trump has stated that he is open to cryptocurrency, Biden's crypto administration needs to cease, and he needs to be removed from office. And it must develop into what the U.S. requires. To support cryptocurrency, I'm with voting should be done for anyone who, from a political standpoint, supports cryptocurrency. Not what the SEC is doing, but that is how the U.S. will take the lead. Some strange activity is occurring there, and I can assure you that something is cooking that isn't healthy right now. First movers with equities outperforming the cryptocurrency. Bitcoin struggles near $67,000. Interestingly, this states early on Friday, Bitcoin fluctuated at 67,000, and if we look at the market currently, we're drifting around at about 66 and change, you know. It claims that because earlier attempts at a rally earlier this week failed, it is locked in a sideways channel and is a sign of declining market confidence. Our location is listed. On Thursday, there were net withdrawals of $226 million from the Bitcoin Exchange Traded Fund. It's amusing because, you know, all they wanted to talk about was the bad. That's still apparent to you. According to the story, they are attempting to keep this object as low as possible before sending it to the freaking moon, whereupon it will believe that it has already boarded the rocket ship. I believe they are restrained. Since they were unable to be seen, I believe they are making last-minute checks before this takes off. When the price of Bitcoin surged earlier this year, you know, you really didn't hear them between 30,000 and 70,000. They're trying to spin and twist it such that Bitcoin is headed back down, almost giving the impression that the top has already been blown off, but that is not the case now that we are consolidating around these levels. We're not even close to finishing. We haven't even secured our second victory yet. In the meantime, MicroStrategy, he believes that Bitcoin may reach $1 million. That is what Bernstein is saying will happen in 10 years. Unfortunately, I believe that he may be yes. This cycle may see 250,000 Bitcoins. Michael, when all is said and done, a sailor will appear to be among the smartest men in the room. Many people were making fun of him when Bitcoin was at late, or were you down in the red? He was also down last year when they were observing the amount of money, and now look, he simply continues elevating himself. This was back in the day, I believe. They were doing all these studies, I recall, back in 2017, when I was initially getting into cryptocurrency, on central banks and only attempting to ascertain and measure their level of interest in the central bank. Digital currencies, as you are aware, were about 30% when we initially began discussing this, after which we just began to see the year after year, the number of central banks that were going to become engaged gradually increased, and currently, almost all of them are stating that they are investigating CBDCs before you are aware that every central bank in the world will be conducting a trial. The only question is what technology, if not their own, will be used? What kind of technology is their central bank going to employ? Digital currencies after they establish a central bank of their own. Virtual money, that being said, you still have Neutro's account remains active. Well, consider the fact that Thailand will only want to hold its own CBDCs and that the US will not want to hold any digital currency issued by the Central Bank of Japan or vice versa. As a result, you still need a method that functions somewhat like a digital Navro account. It doesn't really help, therefore, you still need to figure out how to make these Nora Pros available. How will that take place? You will require a real-time gross settlement mechanism, which we have discussed. There's movement in Iceland in the first video. In a few slides, we'll demonstrate how Ripple has operationalized since switching to a real-time growth settlement mechanism and upgrading to ISO 222 in 2025. With 10 central banks from across the globe, we are witnessing the adoption of CBDCs, which implies digital ledger technology adoption. All we now need is a neutral bridge asset, a straightforward asset that will assist in transferring the value of one country's CBDC to another without requiring them to hold their foreign currency in their bank accounts from other countries. Thus, if the United States Central Bank transfers funds to the Japan Central Bank, neither institution is required to retain the other's digital currency. However, once money moves, it automatically makes the switch by going through a blockchain, a distributed ledger, and other processes. Instantaneously, at a cost of about a penny, and the money is subsequently changed into the known currency. We are heading there, and after that, Brian Brooks, who can we ever forget this old gem, talks about XRP here. What does he state? He continues, XRP isn't trying to replace the dollar, rather, it's revolutionizing the value transmission system. This is precisely the central bank digital currency that we were discussing earlier. Listen up, people. You are the one with whom I always strive to get through to others. Understand the most important thing to try to concentrate on when it comes to cryptocurrencies is not about money, and the main fallacy in this entire conversation is the idea that cryptocurrency is failing if it isn't succeeding in displacing the US dollar. In its goals, and my opinion today, we will discuss it a little bit. The notion that most cryptocurrencies aim to displace the system of centralized banking with user-controllable networks. Bank CEO influence over cryptocurrency-priced assets is more akin to internet stocks. It resembles a bet more on Google if you anticipate a surge in internet traffic, and you short Google if you anticipate a return to the post office, correct? Not that Ripple, Ethereum, or anything else is attempting to take the position of. We'll discuss a lot more about how the US dollar is attempting to supplant a system of value transmission. So in my opinion, the prices are no longer that important. You can see what XRP is when you compare its volatility to that of Google, which was quite volatile in its early years. The story that XRP will replace the dollar is one that a lot of people want to disseminate because, to be honest, they are running out of stories to tell. It should not be in the top 10, it will never last. And so on. That is not the intended use of XRP. It is intended to be this impartial bridging component, where money can be transferred internationally at the same speed as emails. It is accepted that XRP is money transforming materials. This is precisely according to Brian Brooks' recent remarks. XRP is currently seen as a more dependable currency conversion resource than Bitcoin and Ethereum since it can process a larger volume of transactions. It's quite a bit less expensive. It takes time, people, especially when you're dealing with banks and money, as I know I'm going to sound like a broken record. And the tipping moment is approaching. According to data from CoinMarketCap, retail and whale trading volumes help determine whether or not cash is pouring into the Bitcoin ecosystem. Here are 3 reasons why this thing is set to blow. The current trade volume is 12 billion, or 812 million, which is lower than before. However, the largest transactions on the Bitcoin network also decreased slightly, but they are now at this location. Among these 3 criteria, Bitcoin ETFs are one of the most important. What are we seeing right now? Wave 2 of new institutions entering the spot Bitcoin ETF market is now underway. Waves 3 and 4 of new institutions entering the market indicate that new money is indeed currently entering the cryptocurrency exchanges. Then Brad Garlinghouse says it's odd that the markets have not yet rewarded XRP Bitcoin, but when it blows its top and has enough fun, it's going to share part of the pleasure with the rest of the markets, where money will rotate out and flow into the other cryptos. I understand how and why XRP can be rewarded. Does Ripple simply go out and purchase a market? It will be beneficial to all of us XRP holders. It will never come to pass, but even if it did, they would have plenty of time to send this monstrosity wherever they like. It seems like a win-win situation for everyone, and they would even receive extra XRP on their books when they received the XRP on their books, which they could then ship and sell to the institution. But Garling the residence is accurate. Since 2017, which is rapidly concluding, we have not received any rewards. This is because Ripple is collaborating with 10 governments worldwide to use digital currencies issued by central banks. Right now, this is functional. We are aware that people are also in communication with 30 to 40, which is actually probably now 20 to 30 because Brad Garlinghouse's confirmation of 10 already means that we have 10 days to work with the remaining 20 to 30 that will be in the pipeline. Even if we receive only half of that, 10 to 15, which could bring us as high as 25. The central banks that will be collaborating with Ripple will either use XRP, the stablecoin, or perhaps develop their own digital currency on top of the XRP ledger, which will use XRP as the gas token. The XRP ledger cannot be used in any form without XRP.